Attention, everybody. The views and opinions expressed on the show are not necessarily those of Acts Ministry, Acts Media Group, and or their affiliate and subordinate ministries and or nonprofits. So without any further ado, here he is, ladies and gentlemen, here to tell you what time of day it is when the sun comes out, when the sun goes down, and just to wake you up early in the morning. Here he is, Johnny Rooster.
And cock-a-doodle-doo to you too. Hey guys, it is Monday. Get up and get shaken here. I'm your host, Johnny Rooster. You're watching Morning Mouth, the show on AMG Broadcasting, known as Acts Media Group to the rest of you people. We're going on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And as normal, I have a guest with me, and we like to talk about building a fan base for small businesses. That's what we're about on this channel. Primarily, we help small business, nonprofits, and we also help performers, entertainers. So if you fit one of those categories and you'd like to be featured on the show, absolutely go to JohnnyRoosterLive.com. That's JohnnyRoosterLive.com and go to the guest sign up. I'm talking with my fingers. All right, so today's guest, we have a piano tuner in the house, Steve McClard of McClard Brothers. Right. We call it pianodesk.com because I find that to be a fascinating communications site. Yeah. Pianodesk.com.
Yeah, the whole origin of the piano desk thing, I grew up as a piano technician. My father and my grandfather were piano technicians. And when I was 7 years old, I started tuning pianos, and on any given day we would be out in our garage, just a normal two-car separate garage from the house, and we'd have 10 or 12 pianos out there in process of being flipped and resold.
So I'm picturing a garage full of pianos.
Full of pianos.
Kind of like
no cars.
The band, they're practicing and they're making the sound. You're the guy tuning the pianos, not working on the cars, working on the pianos.
Right, and so 7 years old.
No oil though, right?
No. 7 years old, I'm doing every little job there is for a piano. My dad's teaching me as he goes, and he was a teacher for 28 years, a band director. And so we would be working on these pianos, and I'm learning every little aspect and taking it for granted. I don't even know that I'm apprenticing. I have no idea.
Yeah.
By the time I'm 12 years old, my brother and I, brother's 4 years older than me, he's 16, I'm 12, we're in First Baptist Church, Farmington, Missouri, for instance, tuning Sunday school room pianos each by ourselves. My dad's back
Is
behind.
that because you could, they wanted you to, or you just started and like,
part of the
that's not
business
right?
at this point.
Okay.
I'm able to tune a piano by myself, 12 years old. And of course the music minister would come in and watch us, and he just, it was just a thing. Everybody knew it. We were the only piano tuners around the area. And my dad would be over at the middle school tuning a piano, and we'd all three be around town doing stuff like that. And I just took it for granted. I thought everybody did something like that.
Of course.
When I was a kid. But so now you fast forward to college, and I'm putting myself through college. My dad is handing the business over to us. We would charge $50 for piano tuning. He would take $10 and set up the appointments, and we'd go do it, give him the checks, he'd cash them and give us the money and take the tax out. He did everything for us. And
he was building into you a specific culture of customer service.
And showing us the ropes, showing us everything that we needed to do. And so at that point I had a career. And wow. I've done this for 46 years, and now my father passed away right before I graduated college. And went to my first job in Gideon, Missouri, and after paying for my rent and everything else in my little house before I'm married, 1 year before I'm married, I couldn't buy food. And I had to tune one piano, at least, in order to get through the month. So I tuned 2 or 3 pianos, and I don't remember what I was charging, I think $55. And so I got married the next year. And once we're married, we moved to Illinois, and when I got to Illinois, I wanted to start the business back again of restoring pianos and working on them. So I cleared out my garage, made a shop, and had this old piano that I'd traded for a piano tuning. Beautiful mahogany cabinet with French provincial legs, and just the most, the prettiest hand-carved piano you've ever seen, but it was shot as a piano. And I knew I wasn't going to be able to do anything with it. So I came in one day and I told my wife, I said, I'm going to take this piano and make a computer desk out of it. And we had
taking the piano, making a computer desk out of the piano.
Right, and we had a sawdust and spit Walmart, desk that was leaning to the side a little bit, with our computer. And so She says, "Nope, that's not coming in my house. Don't waste our money on that." You know, she right at that point.
In the piano world, this was a reject.
It was a reject, but it was so beautiful, and I thought, I've got to do something with this. So I stripped it, refinished it, took the soundboard out completely, just took the entire back half of the piano off, took all of the parts out, and then began to construct it. Now, I wasn't great at woodworking. I had a big interest in woodworking at this point. My high school shop teacher inspired me, and I knew I wanted to get into woodworking and had done a few projects. So I started buying tools, wood. I had a charge account at the hardware store. My wife was like, a little nervous about what I was doing, but when I got the finish on it, had the drawers put in it, had everything constructed, she started calling people, friends and family. She found a place in the room for it, and it went in. And from that point, then everybody that I knew wanted me to make one for them.
Well, so you became the piano furniture maker.
Right.
Have others been doing that, or were you kind of a pioneer?
I know of one other guy that I could find, and of course the internet.
Just on his own.
Yeah, and this is the 90s, so the internet's fairly new.
Yeah.
I immediately went and bought pianodesk.com.
You already knew the vision of that.
Right, and I had been, believe it or not, I had been on the internet since the 80s.
So Mrs. Rooster, do we have pianodesk.com on the screen?
Yes, we do.
Awesome. If you pop that over here, I want to take a quick look at that. You're watching Johnny Rooster Morning Mouth. I'm your host, Johnny Rooster. We're talking to Steve McClard, and he is our guest today with pianodesk.com. So I'm just looking at this thing. It looks like we're down on the farm because Johnny Rooster is a rooster, so I'm checking it out because what I see is a green screen. What you see is a beautiful farm. Steve, you have a third generation with piano tuning. Your dad taught you the art and craft of piano tuning in the garage, just like people work on cars in the garage. You worked on pianos in the garage. You took that from a very young age, tuning pianos at age 12 in the church, and making that. Didn't realize you were an apprentice, didn't realize you had a craft, didn't realize you had a skill until there it was. And then as a young married man, started making furniture out of old pianos.
And selling them on eBay.
And selling them. Does that become the main thing now, or is it tuning?
No, always a side hustle.
Always a side hustle.
And piano tuning, I would get so busy in piano tuning that I'd have 20, 30 customers waiting on me.
Of course.
I tuned all my Saturdays. I tuned all my free days.
You're better than a mechanic.
Yeah.
You're the specific thing they need.
I had quite a good business in Illinois when I lived there, and we decided to move back to Missouri eventually. And at that point, when we came back to Missouri, I built a true shop. Well, I started building guitars.
For building
wooden. Right. My first guitar was made out of piano wood.
Okay.
So I took the lid of a piano and made a fretless bass
You
out of it.
still have it?
No, I sold everything that I would ever make.
All right.
And at that time,
I'm definitely, I gotta say this, we're in tune with this because I can't resist a good pun, but really, people love that stuff.
Yes.
You're creating something totally unique.
My tagline is something new from something old.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, that is so marketable, and you know that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, before I moved from Illinois, had a little shop that I had built out behind a new house that we had bought. And I was sitting down in my basement, and I had just finished and put on eBay a desk that I had made. Got a call from a guy, and I spoke to him for 20, 30 minutes. And this was at midnight. He called me at midnight and introduced himself as Randy Stone, and wanted to know, if he could buy the desk off eBay and if I could take it and totally take it apart and rebuild it the way he wanted.
Right.
And I was like, yeah. And come to find out, he was a Warner Brothers producer.
Oh my gosh.
And so you've seen the X-Files, right?
Yeah.
Okay, David Duchovny, Gillian Anderson. He was the producer for that show for Fox.
Wow.
Then he was a child actor with several other actors that I can name, but he ended up getting hired by Warner Brothers to produce movies. Little Man Tate is one of his movies.
Cool.
He got his Oscar and an Emmy for that.
Okay.
So anyway, he drops that on me and he says, and I want you to deliver it personally.
All right.
So we get to the point where I took about 3 or 4 months making the desk.
Yes.
Got it the way he wanted it. Had to hire some Mennonites to come in and help me with a few of the woodworking things that I really wanted to get right.
Okay.
And so when it got down to it, he said, I want you to deliver it. And he said, how are you going to bring it here? And I said, well, I'll rent a U-Haul. He goes, no, I'll buy you a trailer.
Wow.
He buys me a trailer. Says, you can keep it.
Celebrity status.
Yeah, he didn't care.
Catering to the stars.
I told him through the construction process, I said, you need to measure your door. And this is the bungalows at Warner Brothers Studios where it's going to go in. He shares an office with Drew Carey to the side.
Oh, man.
The guy that produces Friends on the other side. And I said, it has to be a 36-inch door. We're not going to get it into your office. And he goes, oh, it's a 36-inch. And I said, no, you need to measure. He goes, well, let me fly you out here and measure for me.
He didn't want to measure that.
Right. And I'm like, okay, your secretary probably has a tape measure. Why don't you? And so that's what happened. So she came in, she did it. And I got there with the desk, and I'm parked in Drew Carey's parking place right there in front of this thing. They came and asked me to move because he was coming in to park.
Yeah. Where do you park when you got a piece of furniture that's a piano size? Big?
Right.
Yeah.
And so we're sitting there with the trailer in the truck, and the trailer had been offloaded over to another parking place.
Okay.
And we get there, and they're 28-inch doors.
Did she measure?
No.
No.
They just said they did.
They don't care.
And so he made a phone call, and a crew, one of the studio crews, came over and dismounted a giant window in the back of the building.
Yeah.
Completely, down to the last screw. And this is where it kind of gets funny. They're all union workers, and they couldn't finish the job until a union boss was there. He shows up at the last minute, takes the last screw out. They take the window out, and then all of them are wannabe actors, And one of the guys was this gigantic guy with just, he 3% body fat. He told us, he was.
Of course,
he was bragging about everything. He's a big old guy though. It's like 6'5". Him and a few others just lifted that thing straight up, right in the window and right down in the room. It was awesome. But
oh man!
So before all of this happened, before we knew it wasn't going to fit through the door, I had disassembled part of it, and I thought, well, maybe we can get it through the door.
Yeah.
There was this cabinet to the left.
Yeah.
And it was like a file cabinet, and we accidentally tipped it over.
Oh.
And it was one of those filing cabinets where the front opens like this.
Yeah.
It was full of all the final viewing tapes for every Friend episode there is. Dumped them all out on the ground. And the secretary was like, don't worry about it. It's no big deal. Don't worry about it. And we're looking at it, and it's like, Friends episode this, Friends episode that. And I'm
like, the whole series right there on the floor.
Yeah. So that was interesting. That was a great trip. And he got us. He said, what do you want to do? What do you want to do while you're here? And I said, well, I'd like to see the Drew Carey show taped, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We got on a golf cart, went over there and watched it.
Yeah.
And it was a closed taping. It was the episode where Drew Carey is in a coma.
Okay.
And so they're doing the season finale right here.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in the director's chair, no studio audience. And Ben Stein and was on that episode. We got to meet him. Joe Walsh from the Eagles was there with his guitar, tie-dye shirt.
Oh my
And he
gosh.
plays that down, down.
Yeah.
Down.
Life's been good.
Drew's on the table in a coma. Craig Ferguson is playing a harp.
Okay.
And there's
late night talk show.
Yeah, and there's a harpist right next to me, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, what is going on?
What is this world?
Mimi comes in. They stop the taping for a minute. They all come up to us and shake our hands and everything. It was really weird. Then he's like, "What about the Tonight Show? Maybe I can get
Why
you,
not?
Well, maybe I can get you on the Tonight Show." And he said there's a waiting list, and maybe I can. Well, this guy was married to Rosalind Kind.
Okay.
And she's the half sister of Barbra Streisand.
Oh wow.
Right? So he calls up Dick Gutman, who's the producer or the publicist for Barbra Streisand.
Okay.
And we get this little note from Dick Gutman, and I've still got it. I've got it mounted on a thing.
Yeah.
But it says, 1 VIP pass to the Tonight Show in handwriting signed Dick Gutman.
That's great.
He gives us this, and he says, I think this will get you in.
That's awesome.
So we go, we button in front of the line. We go all the way up to the front of the VIP line, give them that. I got front row seats.
Wow.
To the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
And, it was that was the best part of the
I mean,
trip.
after that, where do you go? Johnny Rooster, Morning Mouth? I mean, wow, that is great.
Well, I thought all of this was going to lead to like this magical, you know, I was going to be making these things.
Yeah, you could be like the celebrity
right.
piano furniture guy.
Right, never happened.
Wow, I thought that
it was a one-off. You know,
wow.
so, but it was fun. I mean,
You'd think if one of them contacted you, that the word would be out.
Yeah, and it's amazing. I'm sure it's probably still in that bungalow. He passed away since then.
So he wanted a piano specifically made out of furniture.
Yeah, and it was for his video editing studio. And so we had to add like a fireplace hearth to the back of it, so we had to extend it from the wall.
Yeah.
So that all his stuff would go in at the way, and so we cut the bottom open and made a little place for his computer to go in with this louvered door. And it looked like a roll-top desk.
Are there pictures of any of this on any of your websites?
It's all on pianodesk.com. The easiest way to find that is to click on the old web page. It'll say the old web page link.
Okay.
Go to the Hollywood.
Go right into the Hollywood section.
Right. And it gives you an entire rundown, picture by picture, of the entire trip from the time we left and loaded the trailer until we got back.
Gosh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
That they didn't measure a door and they're going in there and they just want it and they get it done Union style.
And I stayed, the first night I was there, I went with my brother-in-law and a friend. Brother-in-law drove his truck, and we all just made a big, vacation out of it for 9 days. And when we got there, we were on the Santa Monica Boulevard at a hotel where my brother-in-law and friend were going to stay. He picked me up in his BMW and took me over to Beverly Hills.
Wow.
And I stayed in Jimmy Stewart's first house that Jimmy Stewart made. And
oh my goodness.
He owned it at the time.
Oh my!
And he was remodeling it. And I'll give you a really good story here too. This is a really funny story. So it's so late at night, and he brings us in. He says, "I'm going to leave you here. You can stay in my room. You can use this." He said, "I'll be gone. Don't worry about it." There were no windows in the place. He was remodeling, so everything was open to the outside. So I get up in the morning, and I'm looking around the house, and I see Jodie Foster on the wall. I see, I see an Oscar and an Emmy. I see everything that he's done, and I go to the bathroom, and there's a toilet, but there's no floorboards. And so I'm walking across the floorboards, getting to the toilet. I'm going to the bathroom in the morning, and I look out the left window where there's no window, and there's a house next to me with a big bay window and a family sitting at a dining room table where I'm in view. And I didn't realize it while I was going to the bathroom. Well, I joked with him about that. I said, I didn't even know, and he just laughed, and he said, "You know who that is over there?" And I said, "No." He said, "That's Apu from The Simpsons." So his family was sitting there at breakfast while I was going to the bathroom.
It's like a Hollywood moment right there.
Oh, it was crazy. The whole trip was so cool. I mean, we had so much fun.
And when was that?
2000.
2000.
Mm-hmm. I took 9 days off school. The school kind of sent me off. It was like a big deal.
This was your thing.
Yeah, this was, and he gave me special permission to have time off right before Thanksgiving. And yeah, it was great. It was so fun. Yeah.
That sounds like an amazing story, because it is amazing, and I like this because piano tuning can be kind of a routine sounding event, but you've made the most interesting connection.
Every trip is an adventure.
Yeah.
I was motivated 3 years ago to extend my piano tuning across the country.
Yes.
So I've kind of bucket listed. I made this thing called Tuning Across America. You can see that on the Facebook page. And so what I'm trying to do is tune in every state at least one piano.
Well, we're going to learn about that bucket list right after this break. We'll be going to our very special hosts and sponsors, taking that little break, and after the break again, we're going to go back and talk to Steve McClard. He is the piano tuning expert from McClard Brothers Piano Tuning. So we're going to do that, and we got a minute before we do that? Okay. So as we set that up, you're going to give us a little teaser, which would be, hey, you have a goal to tune a piano in every state.
In every state. I've got 13 so far.
13 down. And we'll hear some of that kind of thing going on right after the break. But one thing I noticed about you, Steve, is you know what's going on with piano tuning. You understand the market. What's a good way for people getting into business to capture a market? Is there a good hook for people going into business in general?
Provide a service, and don't try to rob people for money. The money comes if you don't pursue it. That's the key to the whole thing, is just provide the service, and everything else falls in place.
That's good advice. I appreciate that. Provide the service if you're in business. the money will follow if you do truly provide a service.
As much work as you want. That's the key to the...
You'll never be out of work. You'll
Right.
never be out of money.
Just do a good job.
And we're going to be on, and we'll be right back after these important messages. You're with Johnny Rooster Morning Mouth.
What's your favorite time of year?
I usually
Rainfall.
hop up and get a couple
Everything's blooming. And then you got the fall changing colors.
Yeah.
Everything's coming alive. So that's the time I really enjoy it. Now the 95 plus degree weather, just like everybody else, not my most favorite.
No.
Getting a little older, a little harder to take.
My favorite Disney movie is The Little Mermaid. I have to tell my cousin that my favorite Disney movie is Sleeping Beauty because we grew up watching it, but it's really The Little Mermaid.
What's something that you would hope that your customers say about you?
I think the biggest thing I hope for them is that they would say that I care. I want them to leave feeling like that that they are heard and that they are cared for, and to know that whenever they need help in the future, that I'm going to be there to care for them again.
I work for Health Markets Insurance Agency, and we are a insurance distribution company. So what that means is I have several different companies that I'm associated with. So I can do all the shopping around. I don't have one product or one company that I have to sell. I have many. So what we do, we just go through and do the fact finding, get to know you, see what's best fit for you, and stay within your budget. I do all the work for you. I don't charge a fee for my services. So if you decide you don't want anything I've got to sell you, that's okay. I'm not looking to make a sale. I'm looking to have a new client.
Good thing I'm made out of plastic, or that would have hurt.
Hey dear, let's go get some new Formica countertops from Kitchenland USA. They look great, just like wood finish.
Formica? Oh, that's tacky. I remember that when I was growing up.
Well, let's see what Brad Trox says. He's the owner of Kitchenland USA. He should know. You must unlearn what you have learned.
Oh, all right, I'll give it a try.
No. Try not. Do. Or do not. There is no try.
We're back again, the Kitchen Yoda. Don't forget the Kitchenland USA in Nixa, Missouri. Absolutely a wealth of information there. Of course, Leanne Miller with Health Markets. She has a phenomenal way of connecting with people and finding out who you are before she just rattles off an answer. These are people that care. And then, of course, we've got the OCH WellPoint Family Medical Clinic in Marshfield, Missouri, with Tiffany Kirk, who also sits back and listens to the customer. Her patients are her friends. And of not last and not least is our hardworking and diligent man with his hands, Kent Wood with Performance Lawn Care and Landscaping. He has had lots of experience, 21 years to be exact, and he's continually looking to service the Springfield area, especially in southeast Springfield where he is positioned. So again, we're talking to another service master, one that knows all about the art and the craft of servicing and helping customers find out what they need in the piano tuning world or in the experience of creating furniture from pianos. This is Steve McClard. It's an honor to have you here today.
Thank you.
And we do this last segment. We've changed scenes. We're now in the crazy bicycle. I love it. It's a Rooster bicycle.
That's my hobby.
That is awesome.
I ride an e-bike.
An e-bike.
My wife and I, we ride them all over.
So tell us about that.
Well,
and I love the Rooster. And thank you to Matt Pearson, our engineer, who comes up with these backgrounds. Because Johnny Rooster, creativity. We got Steve
piano desk. So what is an e-bike, and what do you do with that?
Oh, e-bikes are the new thing. I mean, they've been around a while, but a few years ago I decided I wanted a gas bike. I wanted to make a bicycle with a motor on it.
Okay.
So I built it in my shop and put my advertising all over it, and I was going to use it for parades.
All right.
So that lasted a little while. I eventually sold it, but then my wife and I wanted, some kind of a hobby that we can do together.
Sure.
Getting close to retirement for her. And we decided to buy e-bikes last year, and we rode those things. I don't know how many miles.
They're electronic or
electric
charge up?
Yeah, electric pedal assist bikes. And we took a trip to Arkansas down into Rogers and rode our bikes. There's 150 miles of divided paved trail provided by Walmart, by Sam's Club.
Yeah.
And we rode all the way through Bentonville, down Rogers, Springdale, and Fayetteville.
Wow.
80 miles in 2 days on these things. And I'm not really in shape, honestly.
Right.
But 80 miles. Both
80
those.
miles.
And you get a lot of exercise doing it, but there are basically no hills.
That's nice.
It destroys the hills. And,
right.
And it's so beautiful down in Arkansas. But we ride all around Springfield area. Lots of greenways in Springfield, and they're expanding those all the time. But yeah, it's a good hobby.
So the e-bikes run down. Do they hold a charge a long time?
You can go 40 miles with pedal assist, or if you just use the throttle, you can go 15 miles.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's nice. And we could do the whole Frisco line from Bolivar all the way to Willard with one charge. No problem.
Very cool. Well, I'm telling you, when we were talking on the break, Steve, you were mentioning how people are really interested, not just in your story, but definitely in a story about one of your customers. When you start promoting it through a customer's eyes, through their hobby, you really got a lot of response as a business owner.
Yeah, when I taught, I was a band director, teacher for 28 years. And in 2017, I told my wife, I said, this is going to be my last year. I can't do this anymore.
Teaching.
It's killing me.
Okay.
And, a band director, if you know anything about a band director, it's a
joyless life.
Very stressful.
Yes, it is.
And very rewarding. I loved doing what I did, but at one time I had 4 jazz bands, marching band, color guard, you name it, everything. We were doing the whole thing from sixth grade to 12th grade. And it was literally killing me. It was just the stress from it. And so I told her, I'm not going to do this anymore. I've taught for 28 years, it's enough.
Oh my goodness.
I said, I'm not going to retire though.
Yeah.
And she goes, well, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm going to tune pianos. And so I told her, I said, you watch the next...
That's the skill you had growing up.
Yes. I was in on my first semester of that last year, and 2017, 18. And I said, I'm going to save every paycheck. This was Christmas. I said, I'm going to save every paycheck.
Wow.
Between now and the end of this year. And I'm going to supplement our income using piano tuning.
Oh, cool.
So I about killed myself. I went out.
You forced yourself to not rely on your paycheck at all.
3 to 4 pianos a day after school, Saturdays, days off, and I saved every single paycheck all the way for 6 months. So 3 months into doing it, after I had saved 3 months of paychecks, I handed in my resignation March 15th and walked out the door August 24th. Recorded myself. It's on Facebook. I recorded myself walking out the door.
For the last time. No longer having to be obligated to someone else.
And so, I loved teaching, but looking back, when I go out the door every day now, I don't work.
Yeah.
This is my retirement.
Yeah.
And I get to visit with people. I get to see their hobbies. We have discussions. A lot of people will park right next to me while I'm tuning a piano, especially now for COVID, because people want to talk.
Sure.
They haven't been talking to anybody.
They've been isolated.
Right. So I tune a piano. We sit there and we talk, just like we're doing now.
Yeah.
So I'm very practiced in my stories.
Oh yeah, you've got some great stories.
Right, and then I want to find out what's interesting about a person, and they've all got something amazing. Every single person that I tune for, doesn't matter who they are.
Right.
They have something amazing. So what I do is I feature those on my Facebook page, and I boost that post in order to advertise. So I can, with Facebook, you can pick a neighborhood somewhere and do a little $20 advertisement around the neighborhood. Well, I got the idea, if I can do that in Springfield, why can't I do that everywhere across the country? So my son is...
this is leading into your trip around the
right,
country,
it is.
We weren't going to leave him hanging.
Right. My son is trying out for drum corps. Since he's been in high school, he's been trying for drum corps. He's trying for the Phantom Regiment right now. He's already tried out for the Bluecoats. He's waiting to hear back to see if he gets a contract for this summer. He is in the drum line at MSU.
So the drum course, explain that for people that may not know.
Drum corps is a professional marching band, basically, and you only have a certain age limit that you can get to. I think it's 20s, in the 20s somewhere. And
leaves us out, right?
Right. You can't march anymore, and he wants to do it so bad, and he's getting so good. And so anyway,
travel and perform around.
Right. And so anyway, he wanted to go to Canton, Ohio to try out for the Bluecoats. So I said, I'll take you, no problem. And I said, while you're there on Saturday trying out, I'm going to tune pianos all day. So I sent one little Facebook boost to Canton, Ohio. Within a day, I had all 6 pianos lined up.
Wow.
It cost me $20.
Wow.
And so we set our trip. We got there, woke up that morning, took him over to his tryout. I went and tuned a piano at 9, 11, 1, 3, and 5. And I think I did one the next day. And so I basically paid for our trip. And I thought, well, heck, if I can do it there, I can do it anywhere. Well, we ended up going to Iowa to try out for the Colts. I tuned 8 pianos while I was there.
Yes. How did you reach out to people in a certain area?
Facebook. I just plop up.
Saying I'm going to be at this.
Yeah. So somebody mentions the word piano around their tablet or phone, it's going to bring my ad up.
Wow.
If they're searching something on, this is the way Facebook works. It targets you by advertising. So quickly I can get the ad out there, and they can verify that I'm a decent human being off my Facebook page.
That's great.
Yeah. And so far now I decided to take a trip, 6,500 miles from May 21st, 2018 to June 10th. And so I drove all the way down through, tuned 5 pianos going down to the Boot Hill.
Right.
Crossed over into Tennessee, spent the night, tuned 2 pianos in Tennessee, went to Atlanta, spent the night, tuned for a music producer in Atlanta, really interesting guy. I mean, just everybody I was tuning for was so cool. And I just put, I put everything. You can go back on the Facebook page and look at the whole journey. When I left Atlanta that afternoon, I drove as fast as I could to get to Cedar Key before the sunset. Mm-hmm. Got there just as it was coming to and I got to the edge of the island, took my phone out and watched the sun go down.
There you go.
Right? Ate some great seafood that night. Woke up in the morning and I didn't have a plan that day, so I thought I'm going to find some pianos to tune. Went to the Methodist church, and the Methodist church pastor was coming in, and she said, well, we just had our pianos tuned, but she said, let me show you our stained glass windows.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got pictures of the whole thing, but the whole place was so beautiful. And there's apparently a very famous stained glass worker that moved to Cedar Key and lived his life out in retirement.
Yes.
And so she said, now we don't have a piano for you tuned, but go to the Baptist church, see if he does. And she said, he's got the same stained glass windows. And each of the parishioners at the church designed their own window. The kids did.
Oh,
the kids did.
Okay.
And so this guy on the island made all the stained glass. So I got to meet the Baptist pastor, and he's, we need our piano tuned really bad. So I did it for free. And so when I'm done and I'm having a conversation with him, and he says, I've got my golf cart parked out front for you. I want you to explore the island. He said, just bring it back when you're done. And he said, at lunch, I've got you hooked up at this I can't remember the name of it, but a really famous chowder place. And they source all the clams and everything from the island. And they sell all over the world. And there's people that fly into this island to get that chowder at this little place.
Wow.
So he hooked me up for a free lunch. I show up, they treat me like royalty. I go in and I eat, and that was a great part of the trip. Then I went to Tampa that day, tuned for an entire week in Tampa. My family came and met. We went on a 5-day cruise for my son's graduation. Came off the cruise, I tuned again in Tampa. Then we went to Nashville, and we had already had it set up ahead. My son was doing an internship with a music company down there called Quaver. Quaver. It's the same software my wife uses in her classroom for her curriculum. And so we spent 3 days in Nashville, and we're sitting in a restaurant watching a famous, it's during the CMAs, and so there's music everywhere.
Yeah. So
we're watching, country singers come up and right down below our restaurant singing, and my son says, I wonder if we can get tickets to the CMAs. So he gets on his phone, 3 tickets, boom, done, $40 a piece.
Wow.
And we watched the CMAs.
That's great.
And it's the CMAs just a couple of years ago where they had all the women of country, Rita McEntire, all of them on stage. And that was unreal. So then we get done with that part of the trip. My oldest son and wife go back home, and Parker and I go down to do the Blue Coats camp, and I tune pianos down in Indiana for 3 days, and then we both leave there and go to Illinois. I do one piano where we used to live, and then back home. And
so you don't have to be licensed like some people in insurance might.
You have to call ahead. So most states, so the big concern is tax, because I need to know if they charge tax on services.
Okay.
Most states don't, and most states, if they do require tax on services, you have to pay the tax, but you don't have to register. In some cases, like in Nashville, you don't have to pay the tax unless you work up to like $4,800, I think. So I'm not making a lot of money at each of these places at all. So, you know, most of the places I always call ahead at the state office and, you know, ask, and most of them say, no, don't worry about it. It's the only place really that I had to pay so far is Ohio. And there's just a simple form, you fill it out, you pay your tax, and you're done, you know, so. But I had planned, my son moved to New York and is an engineer there, and I had planned to go to Florida, fly to Florida with my tools, and go Amtrak all the way up the East Coast with that. It's a $400 ticket that you can make 8 stops.
Oh, okay.
15 days.
Okay.
And I was going to tune at 8 different stops up the East Coast and then meet him and then fly back with my wife from New York. But then COVID happened.
So that wasn't happening yet, but you have a dream. This is Steve McClard of McClard Brothers Piano Tuning. Your goal was to tune a piano in every state.
In all 50 states, yeah. And so my wife's like, okay, when you get to Alaska, what are you going to do? Get a dog sled team? And
yeah,
you know. But no, my Hawaii trip, I ride motorcycles, and my Hawaii trip definitely. I'm going to, when I eventually get to do that, I'm going to rent motorcycles around the islands and
awesome.
Try to tune that way, you know.
So you've got 13 states in.
13 so far. Mm-hmm.
So a lot of good adventures yet ahead.
Oh yeah.
And I guess as you said, COVID had stopped one idea. Is it slowing you down currently in your business? Or is it accelerating it, or what's going on?
April was half the business I normally do. March was half the business last year. April, nothing. I just shut off for a month. March, it started to creep back.
May?
May, yeah, I'm sorry. May was about half the business. And then it just came right back, flooded right back. And so now I'm busier than ever. And I've pretty much stopped advertising just because I get enough word of mouth now. And I learned a good trick for those of you in business.
Yes, please share. We've got a few minutes left.
Yeah, when you come and you do a service for a person, ask if they have a neighborhood Facebook page.
If they have a
neighborhood Facebook page. And if they'll post you and recommend you on their neighborhood Facebook page, the entire neighborhood who's subscribed to that page will get that ad for free.
Explain what a neighborhood Facebook page is.
Neighborhoods, a lot of the, let's say the gated neighborhoods in Springfield might have a Facebook page where everyone in the neighborhood is subscribed to that page.
Okay, well I'm out in the wild wilderness, as you know, so it's hard to think about these things. Okay, it's people live in neighborhoods, they have a neighborhood Facebook page.
Right, and so if one person says, hey, I use McClard Brothers Piano Tuning, here's the link to their page, that's free. Free, completely free advertisement. And I've gotten a lot of business from that, just that kind of word of mouth. And, you know, people talk. And
so having a customer post it on Facebook on their neighborhood page.
Right. When I posted that I was going to do the Tuning Across America thing and where I was going to be on that trip, people started texting me, oh, I have a brother that needs his piano tuned in Tennessee. I have, you know. Yeah, so a lot of the business just came organically.
Now, pianodesk.com, that's one site. Where's the main place people to go to find out about you?
My Facebook page, McClard Brothers Piano Tuning, easy enough to find. Pianodesk.com has links to all of
the so it's okay to say
sites.
Pianodesk.com.
Pianodesk.com.
Easy to remember. They can find the links.
McClardBrothers.com.
McClard Brothers, McClard BROS.com.
Right. Okay. And my brother, he's 4 years older than me. He tunes pianos and washes windows, of all things, in Jeff City and through Cape Girardeau, and just he's got a really broad area, and he makes his entire living washing windows and tuning pianos.
Wow, how about that?
Loves it. Absolutely loves it.
Well, it sounds like you both love what you do, and I'm always eager to hear from people that love what they do. I like to help people love what they do in a better and unique way. My goal as a person on this broadcast, as a host, is to bring new businesses new business. Okay, in a surprisingly fun ways. We've done contests, competitions. I've done arm wrestling, had a pie shoved in my face. There's so many things out there just to draw attention from people that want to watch something. But you can see it on the screen there, McClard Brothers, piano tuning, and you just need to check that out. If you have a piano that needs a little tune-up, you know, it's not like it's like a car in that regard, I guess. And like a mechanic that's good, you have a long list of people ready to do business with you.
Yes. And 80 million pianos at one time in this country, probably more now.
That's almost as many as there are cats, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a lot of pianos. What's your favorite piano? Do you have a favorite?
Steinway, Yamaha. I have a Mason and Hamlin at home, which is an old piano that belonged to a person that was hired by President Grant.
Wow.
To oversee the Indian population in Nebraska. I have that story on my Facebook page.
Wow.
And he bought it for his daughter back in 1887.
Wow, and you tuned that.
Yeah, and it's such a great story. It found its way in the estate of Albert Green in Nebraska, sold that piano in an auction in 1960 to a guy here in Springfield who lived in Nebraska. A Russian piano tuner came and took the piano to the university, worked it up and tuned it, brought it to his house and gave a concert for an hour and a half. They didn't have the piano tuned again until 2018 when I went and got it from the guy. He wanted to give it to somebody who would appreciate it. So I have it in my living room, and when we tested it, when we played the pitch on it,
yeah,
and it hadn't been tuned since 1960.
Yes.
It was at an A438 and still sounded great. I mean, it was just a little bit flat.
After all those years.
Yeah.
Guys, we've been checking in with Steve McClard, McClard Brothers Piano Tuning. Check him out also at pianodesk.com. Thanks for watching. We're out of time, and we've enjoyed this journey with you. Next time, it'll be Wednesday when you see me again. 9 o'clock, ready for you on YouTube and Facebook. Do we have a guest on Wednesday, Mrs. Rooster? That's all right. We'll check in. We'll do that when the time comes. We've got to go. Have a great day.